Hello and welcome to Entirely English, the online English school and the YouTube channel designed to help people understand the English, their culture, their manners, their peculiarities. And before we really get started today, I wanted to give a big shout out to Albara Hassan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Welcome to our community, Albara. I had a look at your channel. Very interesting. You seem to be interested in learning English. So you had some videos that you've put on your playlist about phrasal verbs and so forth. So I hope you find all of these videos interesting and helpful to you. And the subject we are covering now is British superstitions. And today's video, we're looking at a very cheerful one: death, wakes, and funerals. Now, I've already decided this is going to be a two-part video because, unlike with previous cases where I've been caught by surprise by how much information, how much time the videos took, this one I have decided to make into two parts from the beginning because I thought doing a separate video on the Irish wakes would be quite interesting. We'd be able to focus very closely on them. Before we get into all the rituals and actions surrounding the dead body and the funeral, let's have a look at some of these superstitions, which are short and mostly about bad luck. So to begin with, a positive one. It is said that if you hear a clap of thunder, that's one of these, after the burial, it means the soul of the departed has reached heaven. It's a nice positive one to begin with. Now, when we dream, we often dream like in the first-person shooter games. We see through our eyes what's happening. It is said, if you see yourself in a dream, you will die. I'm pretty sure I've seen myself many times in dreams. It's also said, if you smell roses when there are none around, somebody is going to die. I think that's a bit like this urban myth that if you smell toast, you're having a stroke. It normally just means the toast is ready. If you hear 3 knocks and no one is at the door, it means someone close to you is going to die. They call it the 3 knocks of death. If you see an owl in the daytime, there will be a death. It explains a lot of what happened in Harry Potter. If you dream about a birth, someone you know will die. If it rains in an open grave, then someone related to the person who will be interred in that grave is going to die within a year. If a bird pecks at your window or crashes into it, then there has been a death. That's kind of general, isn't it? If a sparrow lands on a piano, then someone in that home will die. If a picture falls off the wall, there will be the death of someone you know, not necessarily the person in the picture. Now, this one I found strange when I discovered it. They say that if a single snowdrop grows in your garden, then someone will die. Which I find strange because we've always had the belief that the first snowdrop to appear signifies that spring has arrived. Having only red and white flowers in a vase indicates somebody will die. A diamond-shaped fold in clean linen foretells a death. A dog howling at night in the home of somebody who's ill foretells death. But this one can be reversed. They say, if you reach under that sick person's bed and turn one of their shoes upside down, it cancels it out. And finally, you've probably heard this saying, don't speak ill of the dead, means don't say negative things about a dead person. We often assume that's about sort of manners, but apparently it goes back to this belief that if you speak ill of the dead, their soul will come back and haunt you for the rest of your life. So that's a list of the omens, mostly bad luck, as you can see. Let's get on to when somebody has actually died. A couple of these things we have mentioned before, I think, in the Superstitions indoors. And they are when somebody dies. Again, this comes from Victorian and maybe back to the Roman times. People often covered the mirrors in the house with a black cloth. This is supposed to stop the spirit being attracted to the mirror and getting trapped inside it. Also, it was a tradition to stop all the clocks in the house at the time of death. There is the superstitional practice of opening all the windows in the house when somebody dies. They say it's to allow the spirit to leave. I think in practical terms, it's to allow the smell to leave. Because I think we all know spirits, ghosts can go through walls and windows, but I think people like to dress up these things. So if somebody dies, bodily functions, get the smelly, open the windows, and then you tell people, oh, it's to let the spirit leave. It's just to make it more pleasant, I think. So as well as stopping the clocks and covering the mirrors, a wreath of laurel or yew or boxwood would be placed on the door with a black ribbon to let passers-by know that there had been a death in the home. And then the body was watched over until the time of burial. The idea being to stop it being possessed by evil spirits. So somebody or some people would sit with the body, and this evolved into the Christian ritual of a prayer vigil, where the people sitting with the body would recite prayers to, again, keep it safe and to ensure that the soul would be able to go to heaven. Now, the wake also served as a safeguard against burying somebody alive, which seems to be a common fear. And justifiably so. There are recorded cases of people being buried alive when they were just in a coma or one of those states where they had a very slow heartbeat and hardly any breath. And they would be buried too soon. So the wake was a time, and as the Scottish admit, to allow the body to start to decompose to prove that it was dead before they buried it. And because they lasted 3 to 4 days, this also allowed time for people, relatives, friends from across the country to come and visit and pay their last respects. The room with the body in would often be decorated with flowers, not as we do nowadays to make it pretty, to show our thoughts and feelings, but to cover up the smell. As we said, the body would start to decompose, and of course there's the bodily functions which happen after death. So filling the room with flowers and candles obscured the smell. This was before embalming became common. But still, you don't want to embalm somebody who is just in a coma. So the wake is a good idea. And the dead body was often in Britain, I believe this tradition went into America as well, often carried out of the house, feet first. This was to stop the spirit looking back and perhaps beckoning another family member to join them. Oh, as well as covering mirrors and stopping clocks, they also turned any pictures of family members face down or towards the wall to stop those family members or friends from being possessed by the dead spirit. These people didn't have much faith in their family member's spirit. Now, this fear of being buried alive also led to coffin makers designing coffins which had a little hole in them, which led up to a bell on the gravestone, and a string, rope, chain would come down from the bell into the coffin. So if you woke up in the coffin, you could feel around and find the thing, and you'd ring the bell, and somebody would come and dig you up, hopefully. This is the origin of the phrase saved by the bell, not, as people believe, from boxing. Saved by the bell, you rang the bell, somebody came and saved your life, dug you up. In many cemeteries, the graves are actually arranged so that the feet of the dead person are to the east and their heads to the west. The idea being when the last trump calls at the day of judgment, when the angel Gabriel, I think it is, blows the trumpet and the dead rise, they will all be facing in the right direction. Certain colours, like red, are often avoided at funerals, and new and borrowed clothes, including shoes, hats, etc., are also considered unlucky and disrespectful. The wearing of black at funerals goes back to the ancient Roman times, and again is probably the Victorians who brought this back. They say from the day Prince Albert died, Queen Victoria wore black for the rest of her life. Black is regarded as mourning clothes. mourning, mourning, when you're grieving the death of somebody. So she grieved the death of her husband until her dying day. The antithesis of this is with the funeral of a child. It is customary to wear white to the funeral of a child. The symbolism being innocence and purity. Now, there are all the rituals from the various churches, Christian churches, etc. We shan't go into those, not mixing religion and superstition here. So just a couple of other things to finish this one off. It is traditional, or it was traditional, to tie a black ribbon to anything alive that comes into or leaves the house of a dead person. Even dogs and chickens, everything that was alive that came in or went out of the house where somebody had died would wear a black ribbon. The idea being this shielded them from death. This is possibly where the tradition of wearing a black armband when somebody you know dies. You don't see it much these days, but you see people with a black armband and you treat them gently because you know they'd lost somebody dear to them. Now, any house robbers out there, don't listen to this next part, okay? Block your ears. It is said that locking your house's door when the funeral procession leaves will bring bad luck. Now, again, there's this idea that maybe the spirit of the deceased is still lingering around the house, and if you lock the door, they can't get out. I'm not sure where the idea comes from because, as we said before, spirits can go through walls and doors and so forth. So I don't know why this is, unless the idea is when people return. I mean, in reality, they're grieving so much it would be difficult through the tears to unlock the door. So leaving it unlocked meant an easy ingress into the home. Perhaps, if you know of another reason, pop it in the comments and let me know. Oh, about the funerals as well. They say pregnant women should not attend the funeral and should never view the deceased. Sometimes the funeral is an open coffin one where you can see the dead body, or at the wake often, and again, we'll come to this in the Irish one, the body was laid on in its coffin, laid on a table with the lid off, and you'd see it. So they say a pregnant woman should not see the body because it could invite the spirit to possess the fetus, the unborn baby. And we mentioned in the video of superstitions in driving on the road that you should not overtake a funeral procession because it was bad luck. They also say counting the cars in a funeral procession is bad luck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, he was popular. 1, 2, 3. They didn't like him. They say, "Allah bring misfortune to you in the form of death." And again, this one we had in that video, and I still don't understand why they say you can rectify that. You can offset that curse by grabbing your collar or a button. And I still don't know what that one's about. Okay, so the second part of this will focus on wakes and specifically Irish wakes. So be prepared to be shocked, because I think some of the traditions in the Irish wake are very contrary to what upright and prim and proper people regard as the correct thing to do. But it should be interesting. Now, in your culture, in your country, do you have some superstitions? I'm not talking about your rituals, prayers, but superstitions about deaths, about funerals. Let me know in the comments. And again, welcome Albara, and pop something in the comments about yourself. Let us know who you are, what you're interested in. So I see from your videos you are interested in studying English. And talking about studying English, anybody who wants lessons, contact me through the links below. Go to my webpage and click the contact form there. And we can certainly discuss your needs. All right, so stay well, stay alive, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye for now.